Go ahead, Mr. Alex.
Send it.
All right, so we'll start off with community development, for the service groups. So we do have expanded mission statement to create and implement a balanced and dynamic strategy promoting economic health and vitality for the village of Ruidoso while maintaining the unique community character and enhancing the quality of life for residents, supporting a vibrant business environment, and offering a top-tier experience for seasonal visitors and guests. So wanted to add some action words and specificity in there, and as well as to touch upon more specifically the various groups that we are looking to support and balance those complementary and sometimes competing interests that they may have in our mission statement.
What do you mean by top-tier experience?
I suppose, just some people would say it, world-class, unique, but it is that people, we meet and exceed the expectation that they have for what they're looking to experience here in Ruidoso.
But that would be for our residents as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, it would. Yep. Yeah. So, org chart, we are fully staffed with the 3 inspectors and our building official. Jim Kinzer is our most recent addition. He joined us back in September. And then we also have Britta continuing on as our administrative person, Crisanti as our short-term rental administrative assistant, and then also Stephanie Warren, who does the GIS coordinator work and also does the planning effort. So took what was in the, being new around here, took what was in the strategic plan from last year. We did accomplish one of the top goal from last year was completing the Chapter 54 update. Even though it drug on for a little bit longer, it actually got completed a little bit before the deadline. I shouldn't say deadline, but the anticipated end date on that. So that was wrapped up. I'll just touch on real quickly what we're generally replacing that with would be the comprehensive plan update on that, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So the next goal is in regard to, again, economic development. In here, mostly the updates that were put onto this were the noting that the second plan was adopted, so that we have both Midtown on Sudderth, and then also you have the one for Meacham, the redevelopment plan there, which does open up possibilities for plans, programs, opportunities, and funding for that. Also, would note that we also are going to be having as was talked about earlier this morning, the Economic Development Administration grant to do the planning for, more specifically, to create construction plans for the redo of the Y at one end of Sudderth and then the upper Sudderth. With that, we do have the funding for that to get that going and to then have construction plans.
That, Alex, is a study. It's not the actual project.
Correct.
Those will be, that'll be construction, that'll be plans that could go out for construction. So it will not be money for the construction, it will just be engineering plans.
Are they still thinking a roundabout?
No. Are you talking about at the Y? No, it's the IT.
It's a high T is what that, yeah.
And then
So, yeah.
incorporating down by Sierra Blanca to Mescalero and bringing all that in, and then how you tie into Gavilan Canyon and a bunch of stuff.
Good.
And you don't mean Mescalero, you mean Mescalero Trail.
Trail, the
Yeah,
road,
right.
that's Calero.
That's what I was saying, up by Sierra Blanca
Yes,
Motors.
yes.
So again, we will continue to seek funding for actually doing projects such as the reconstruction of Sudderth and that intersection there. Also figure out, working again with the Midtown Association, how we can work with them to create more projects and other revitalization opportunities there. Figure out how we're going to connect the economic development things together. Would also note that we are planning to have the regional representatives of the State Economic Development Department do a presentation to y'all before you head north next Tuesday morning. Next Tuesday morning at the workshop is what we're planning on doing with that.
So you're gonna have, Kevin and,
Kevin and Jim here in
Yes.
person, and then they're also going to have, as best they can, their Main Street person to talk Main Street with the Midtown folks, and then also, I believe they're trying to get, as best they can, the actual lead person.
Who's running Main Street now?
That would be.
Are you asking,
no,
Council,
he's
For the
RMA.
state, sorry, that wouldn't even.
state level?
Yeah.
Daniel,
Is it
Oh, I
Mark?
know who you're talking about, the
Gutierrez?
guy
Yeah,
that was number
okay,
two for you.
yes, there's Daniel. He's the, man, I just,
So Alex, how much do you collaborate with the local Main Street, the state Main Street, the state economic development?
As of now, that is being handled mostly by Eddie. And so that is once we again have.
So how do you parse economic development, community development? I mean, where do you draw the?
So that for me is going to be something that once you have the presentation next week and have more conversation as to what tools are available and what kind of strategy you want to pursue going forward, because there are, as I'm sure you're aware, a number of different ways where you can implement your economic development vision in that. So it comes down to, again, how do we maximize our local resources that we currently have, and if we identify that we need additional full-time economic development people, a way to come up with a strategy on how to bring them on board.
And the other challenge, and I dealt with this as an employee at one time, economic development is not a village issue, it's a regional issue.
That's correct.
And if we don't get the cooperation of the Downs and the tribe and the county, we're fighting a battle that's beyond our.
I would say that the impact might be muted on there, and I know that the mayor and through the actions that they've been doing in the last few months with getting together as as more of a regional type body, I think is starting to bear some fruit.
Well,
Yeah.
what we're having to do is, as always, be we're carrying all the water.
Lead
Yeah.
us.
And so we've got a lot of things set up that's primarily, we're looking at how to increase GRT for the village and expand and diversify the community. So that's where we're looking at other things, which are, as soon as we get more, and I'll make a copy and give you this, you just kind of have to keep it close. I mean, we're presenting it now with economic, I mean, we've got companies wanting to invest millions of dollars in the community, and it's super exciting.
Is this an amusement attraction type?
No, it's, I can talk about it.
it's an industry,
Biofuels, being able to take green waste, and they process it down with no
Pine needles.
pine needles, slash, horse manure, food waste from the schools, turn it into biofuels, worked out a deal where it will be sold to the refinery in Artesia, produces water that can be potable. It will produce energy that can provide power for an industrial park. And we have one and maybe two anchors for that on our property. So these are things we've been working on for a long time, but until we finally get people said, hey, we like it, and that's where we're at now. So once we get people that said, if you could, would you, then we'll start making presentations.
Okay. So, Alex, I'm a little confused. We get questions about economic development. Do we refer them to you or to Eddie?
That is
Mayor
something. yeah.
Crawford, Councilor Corey, I would say at this moment, Eddie is our liaison with the Main Street Association, so we're working with him, but it's also within staff. Whenever we do any economic development, just as the mayor mentioned, we'll work on it together. The Main Street has had two prior executive directors. We had one that was there for a while, she left, had another one. So when it came to some of the grants that were utilized in the Main Street District, the village wrote the grants. We received the funds with our local Main Street Association. So we've taken the lead on that, just as the mayor stated, we've taken the lead. So now we're trying to rebuild that Mr. Duckworth is on. We're going to rework that, and we include as the team tourism also. But we have Eddie leading that effort with Kerry and others. And we're bringing Alex in also and trying to work with the economic development phase of that also.
And if I could ask Ron, and Susan and I are going to that Main Street conference next week.
Correct.
And I presume we'll get to know Mr. Duckworth better. I'm still confused about his role. I understand what he's doing for Main Street, but what's driving that? He doesn't own a business, does he?
No,
No, he's the executive director.
that's the way we wanted it.
Yes.
So he's not biased.
So he's not vested into,
Yeah, that his vestation is in Main Street, in
Okay.
RMA, to develop programs, like we had Chili the Kid, we've had different things like that, but to put together programs like that for the downtown, and then look at programs on grants that they can go out and receive, like on the mural program, the park program where they put in the billboards, the digital billboards. But his goal is to develop revenue for the downtown area and have their own, not to compete with, but similar to the chamber.
so Mayor, did you seek him out, or how did we get?
What we did is they're sponsored by the village, but they're standalone. And so we had input on the type of person that they should be looking for. And so they went out and advertised for an executive director. They did the interviews with that, but they work a lot with Eddie. Alex will be more into that. Michael's been instrumental in that. And then we worked to try to get a good board of directors. That's the key. And so we have a good one now and the last one was pretty engaged, but this one's really engaged after some of the mix-ups that we've had over passwords and finances and stuff of that nature. So it's a rebuilding program, but with them trying to build their program, we've run across opportunities because of the fire, and that we have a lot of eyes in New Mexico on us. And so we have reached out for economic development with Secretary Black, also working with New Mexico True, and then also through the governor's office on different things that we can bring to our community that maybe jumpstart the plans that we've been working on a long time. But we had a lot of exposure on, thinning the forest, managing it. What do we do with the slash? What do we do with the waste? And then we've been picked out as somebody that is a big proponent of recycling. And you know what? We recycle. We've won awards for it. All we're redoing is taking pine needles, grinding them up, and then burying them. That's not really recycling. So we've put out a call, and we've talked about it many times. We said, we know there's a bunch of smart people out there that can do this. We need those. And so we've been approached by 2 or 3 different groups.
And Council Carr, going back to next week's Main Street, along with Eddie, Matthew's going to be attending that with Michael also.
Yeah.
Okay.
That group, because they've been working also with the Main Street, our local Main Street, and they're going to be responsible also per our contract that we have. They have some events they need to provide for the Main Street District.
What is it, 3 a year or 2?
We do 2 to 3 a year.
So Ron, along those lines, and again, I'm just trying to get prepared for next week. What is our status with Main Street? When I left, we were working towards getting designated as an emerging community.
We are
What's
still,
our-
we're still working
emerging?
towards that, yes.
Are we? Okay.
Yes, because that's going to take, now with Mr. Duckworth, he's going to have to be the one to take the lead on that with his organization to be able to get that designation. So, but we're working towards that, so.
And Mayor, you mentioned the Board of Main Street, does the village have a representative on that
Mm-hmm.
board?
Yeah, Eddie, isn't it Eddie, the one that's?
So Eddie,
Okay,
yep.
Go,
okay.
and have people that are
Are-
engaged.
Matthew, are they active? Yes. Okay, good.
Yeah, this group, we had some that weren't active, but we've got some excited people. Michelle O'Brien is rejuvenated. Chris Stadheimer is big, and he's taking responsibility. He was the secretary, treasurer, and boy, did he get an education.
Now
And
he's
then-
the president?
Now he's the president, and he's on it and making things happen. So they've really got a group that's focused on what their primary focus is, not to just advertise for their business,
Yeah.
but how do we bring and how do we, come up with programs that enhances the Midtown experience.
Yeah.
And that's what we're working on. They've talked about, we'd like to have an overhead walkway. And it's like, how many years have we talked about that we've been told, no, you can't do that because of the semis and all that? Well, they're having conversations about extraordinary things. And so that you may end up with ordinary things, but things like realignment of Rio Street, we got started on that, got a bunch of backlash on that. But, what does that look like? The old comprehensive plan showed Rio Street all the way to Wingfield Street as a walking district. What does that look like? So those are things that they'll have a part in that conversation. But Tim hadn't been there, but what, 3 months?
If even 3 months,
Yeah, I don't think he
And
has.
so he's getting caught up speed. They're getting their,
Where's he from?
Where did he move here from?
his wife's dad lives here.
Yeah, so stepfather's here. He's originally from, most recently Dallas. He was working actually as an executive at a landscaping company in Dallas. During COVID, they were remote working. They went to remote work. He moved up here at that time. They fell in love with the community. The organization he was working for went back to, or was planning the transition back to an office work. They didn't want to move back to Dallas. They wanted to stay here, so he was looking at alternate, and he wanted to become part of the community. That was his driving force.
And he's got experience, savvy. When you talk to him, he gets it, he understands it, and he's
Well, I'm
work
just,
ethic.
I'm just impressed with his enthusiasm.
Yes.
He doesn't have an
That's what we
office.
need.
Yeah, I thought he was off Senate Chamber.
No.
No, so they're currently working with Zach, I believe, for an office.
Oh, yeah,
space.
that's right.
I know I
That'd be
catch him a lot of times, and we'll have meetings at Downshift is where we
That's
seem
where
to.
I see him
We
every
seem to have a
Friday.
lot of meetings. I saw you the other day when I went to meet with
Yeah.
him,
I'm
but
sorry, it's a newspaper that has office at
yes,
the chamber.
the newspaper does, but I know they're working with Zach to try to work out
Yeah,
an arrangement
yeah.
to put an office downtown.
And we have a lot of
Midtown.
interaction with the newspaper owner and those guys too. So it's complicated. We're trying to get these things started and then work these guys into those roles. But right now, we've kind of taken it to set the 30,000-foot view, can we get support from you, economic development? Here's the things that we're interested in. And then how will you play? And then when we brought this program to them, they were very interested. And so that's where the lead education's coming in, that they're going to be doing next week.
Yes, that'll be with your workshop meeting on the 4th.
Okay, the
Morning
local
of the
economic development, that, how does that play? What kind of a tool is that we can use to generate these things?
Yeah, so I guess probably the takeaway from that is, first of all, we have a lot of partners, as you're aware of, and the Main Street Group and Redosa Midtown is one of those that they can take on some things that, because I've worked in other places where the city is primarily the driver on that. And it's harder to build enthusiasm if it's another city initiative. So having this group is a good thing for them to be able to carry more water than we can on that. Another one of our projects is the workforce housing efforts. So we touch on, we're getting close for 603 Meacham to get that done. We're looking forward to the groundbreaking for the El Comodos project. So the next thing is really working with the board on what's next. And so that's their strategic planning process with that, and then identifying other spots here within the community where we can then develop other projects, also working more with other maybe small-scale developers or single sites to figure out how we can also bring more affordable housing opportunities and workforce housing opportunities to the village.
So as it relates to affordable housing, when do we expect 603 to actually to start renting?
I've been saying June.
Well, I think it's gonna
Which
be,
year?
I think it's gonna be like probably the end of March, maybe.
Now, Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, we're hoping April, May timeline, time we get everything going.
This will be done under the auspices of the existing arrangement we have with
Yes, that's,
Berkshire Hathaway. The qualification standards will remain as is.
yes. That's,
Okay.
yep.
And then, and forgive me, I walked by it yesterday, Meacham Meadows, is there any way we can get fencing up? You know, most of the homes along the links have fences, and, I mean, there's one modular that's, 10 feet away from the trail. Is that a possibility?
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, that is on our radar to do some fencing there. We will be receiving a grant agreement here. The mayor, I don't know if he's received it yet from the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority. We'll have to just get some funding and be able to put a fence there. And then I can't remember, I know T-Bone was there with us. We measured it, and what was the measurement of that, T-Bone? Do you remember? Yeah, that is on our radar to get that fencing put in there, so.
Where at, 603?
Right there where Andrew used to live. Remember Andrew lived in that one?
Yeah, oh, right there.
It's wide open right there from the, so.
And along with that, Alex, do you work with Berkshire Hathaway? Do you go look at the homes and make sure that things are looking okay after they're rented? Who does that?
Berkshire.
They do that.
I know, but it's our property, so we want that to look good.
So you're speaking all of our projects?
The one, they're talking about the
For
one,
housing,
By the Dollar
affordable
General.
housing.
Okay. No, I've not been involved in any,
Who does that?
They reach out,
anything.
I know, but
Mayor
who
Crawford,
is
Councilor
making sure
Slutterman,
that
they
Berkshire's-
reach, Kylie reaches out to Michael and I on the housing. If we see something there, we get a call, and then they handle all the maintenance there, or we send Parks and Rec over there, there's something going on.
like when the fence was down, it was, Berkshire was notified, and then we got it fixed, and when we had a shingle that was turned loose or some siding or
We
whatever.
had from dogs, there was, and she follows the contract with the tenant, sends them the letters, they have to clean it up, but we also work with Parks and Rec on any maintenance.
Okay. I just, I get quite a few comments, not negative, but yuck. I just, it doesn't look good. So that's what I was wanting to make sure is that we at least, I know Berkshire, but that's our property, and who is making sure that Berkshire is doing what they need to do?
And Mayor and Councilwoman Letterman, so some of the stuff like the front appearance, so me and T-Bone are working with Keep Ruidoso Beautiful Board and looking at, options of using that funding source to put in like some trees or shrubbery or something along the front grassy
Right.
area. I think the fence in the back will really dress up that area, in the backside. And so, and I'll be honest, this is our first housing development as a village, and there's some learning curve. And
yeah.
there's some of that
No, definitely.
me and T-Bone drive through it probably at least once a month, just to do a drive-through and kind of look and see if there's a mattress leaned up against the building or kind of,
Yeah, we had that before.
some different things.
It's very comforting to hear you say you're learning from it.
Yes, it's a learning experience, and I think that's,
Well, we learned we need to have a place for the kids to put their toys.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why at 603, we're putting in the 10 by 10s.
Yeah.
Yep. And Dr.
That's
Jackson.
exactly right.
Dr. Jackson, when we spoke and said, that'd be great to have a little, and that's what we did. We purchased a little building.
But I drive to it once a week, and when I see things that, something piling up, and there's times, and they see me come through, and I wave at them and I say, can we put this stuff up? It's everywhere.
Well, and to their defense, I mean, it's not like at my house, I have the public walking,
Right.
behind my back deck every day, but,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of eyes on it, but I like what Matthew's saying, it's a learning curve.
And then we still have a plumbing project to do over there, where we're tying in the sewer for the 72 unit.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting ready to do that, and we've got, I think most of that worked out with Barron Jones.
So on the 72 unit, has that already been designed?
Pretty much, yes, and then
Okay.
they're gonna,
Sometimes show me, Ron, what the concept is.
Okay, yeah, we'll get
they
the,
decided to move it back and over just a little bit, just with the elevation, you're looking down into it, so, and then, just with the interior, the things that we're looking on the road in and out, off of Meacham, some signage and things of that nature.
So would that be managed by us or again?
no, that'll be, they have a management group that'll
Berkshire.
turnkey on that. It'll
I
be,
mean, it'll be them.
it'll be them. They
You
handle,
mentioned last night, this is a public-private partnership?
Well, we have, what's the name of their company? They've changed it.
it's Colin and his
It's
group.
Colin and his bunch. but
He's a
they-
developer, and they're, through the 9% tax credit, they assisted with the application. They handle the management, they handle everything.
Who's
Yes,
handling the cost?
They are,
They are?
yeah. And we went and got the tax
So
credit.
they're kind of under our umbrella?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have a ton of input on it, on the rules and different things that and we've already agreed to those. And then they'll have an on-site manager. And I can't remember the other things that went along with it, but as far as aesthetics, cleanliness, if your name's not on the lease, you're not there, unless you're the kid or something.
Yeah, okay.
Cars, how many cars you can have, all that kind of
And
stuff.
it's zoned, there's no
Yeah,
hurdles?
it's zoned, it's no problems,
no,
Okay.
because we're the only
Not gonna be
neighbor.
any not in my backyard?
Well, no, because it's our property.
we own the
It's our
property.
backyard.
It's our backyard. Yeah, and
Yeah,
we are working, there's an opportunity that there's a little vacant land between there and the Dollar General that we're working with some folks. And then I've got several retail businesses, the people that own that are wanting to sell the back of it where it would tie into where our trailer houses are at and could go around, and we would like to be able to put something else in there. We visited with this individual about him putting modulars and nicer homes over on that area. And then that front area, the landowner would like to put in retail, and I've already got a couple of retail businesses that would like to build there.
Dream on.
What's being built on the other side of Sierra Blanca Pharmacy?
I don't know, and I've asked.
Anybody?
What is that?
That is a medical complex, it's a medical clinic, and,
You're not talking about Dr. Rath.
no, I'm not.
There's another medical
No,
clinic.
This was like my first meeting here back in August. It's a medical spa, med spa, and I think it's med spa is what it is. And then the other side is another medical user that I'm not sure at that point in time they'd identified.
Wow,
All right then.
I didn't know that.
Durka.
And then Dr. Rath's place coming along pretty quick.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Finally, it took a while, but,
5 years. 6.
yeah, no lie.
That does transition nicely into the third goal is again to continually make sure that our development review permitting process is working effectively, efficiently as well. Wanted to say that in the last year, we did move the planning and zoning things and sign permits and banner permits and garage sale permits and business licenses to an online portal. We've probably gotten about a 20% adoption rate, so about 20% of our permits, of those type of permits, come in through the electronic portal where they're able to make all the application and also pay that way. In regard to building permits, the CityWorks software that was mentioned earlier, it has been intended to move the building permits onto that as well, so that would also be done. However, with the discussion of whether we're going to continue to have CityWorks or have something else, we've kind of put that on a pause as to doing that, so that we're not training ourselves and training the public on how to use one system and then saying we're going to get something different. It does seem though, and this is that we have was surprising to me, but it seems that our and that might be another difference from Texas where I was before to being here. Contractors make the permit applications here, and so they are ready. I think they are ready to go to more online system with that. So I don't think that there would be so much resistance toward that, but we are playing pros and cons on that. But that is our intention to eventually move building permits to an online review and online application process for that. Comprehensive plan update, that is our goal number 4. We are working with Phyllis at Site Southwest to come up with a proposal, which she has submitted an initial proposal that we are reviewing for that right now, the model that we're working off of is what was done for the 2019 plan update, and when it comes to outreach and those sorts of things. So we're looking at that being about a year-long process.
Ron, who administered the 2019 comp plan? Was it Site?
Site Southwest, yes.
You know, with due respect to Phyllis, and I love her to death, we've been dealing with the same company for 15 years now. I mean, is it time for us to get some fresh eyes on?
We can do an RFP and find out who else. I think there's a couple more in Albuquerque that do work on the comprehensive plans.
Yeah, I would encourage.
We had her on the housing plan when we did the affordable housing
Well,
plan.
she did
Yep,
54 rewrite.
right.
I just think if we could get some new eyes, we might hear some different.
We can do some checking and see who else. I did ask someone.
Was that gonna go out RFP or?
We were going to do
single?
CES on that, is what we were going to do. That's what we did the last time.
Is there anyone else in CES?
We can check and see, and then we'll check with other entities and see who they've used, because sometimes you get some that, you know, they don't really like them afterwards, but we'll do some checking on it.
Yeah,
That's some tough love, Greg.
yeah.
I heard you say you love her to death, but get rid of her.
Well, I would choose different words. Counselor Solace, but you are correct.
Tough boot.
Yeah, it's like, there's the door.
Maybe, sir, you're just saying exploring other options, right?
Exploring other options.
There you go.
Always
That's
better
what
said.
Greg's doing.
Lastly, short-term rentals. So that's been a topic that you've seen and heard, and we had the presentation from the vendor that we're looking to go with that. So, and even, we are what?
2 hours.
2 hours, 2 hours and 8 minutes away from our town hall kicking off on to get more input from the community about short-term rentals. So we are looking we're calling it an overhaul to the ordinance, to the program, to be able to bring this software vendor on, which not only is just the software, but also the call center that will serve pretty much to supplement our dispatch, more or less, to be able to respond to the quality of life type complaints, noise, parking, over occupancy at short-term rentals with that. So we're, staffing wise, we're excited about the possibilities that this brings. Also, the resources needed in there, we are, the $600,000 number that we put in there would be paid for through an increase in the permit fees in that. My understanding as well is that also frees up some money from the lodger's tax, which is where some of that money is coming from, both from the standpoint of staffing for the program as well as paying for the software program on that.
Regarding the meeting tonight, do we have any idea of who's going to be in the room?
From the community side, from our side, we do not know
From the
who's.
community, I mean, are lodgers going to have representatives? Certainly, there's going to be homeowners.
I have not heard from the standpoint of who's going to be there, from the standpoint of whether we're going to have the management companies that will be there. I did have a conversation yesterday afternoon with an operator. I believe she will be there. So we're planning for 100 people to be there tonight. It's also going to be available for people to watch on Zoom and to email questions or to use the chat function there to provide questions as well.
So, Alex, are you guys going to go over what you're contemplating as far as ordinance changes, or is this more just an information gap?
It will be some of that. We're going to have a teed up, what we're calling an interim report from the committee, because they were active before the fire and post-fire. They got back together, I think October-ish is when the subcommittee of the Planning and Zoning Commission got back together to discuss stuff. And for them to tee up sort of the issues that they have identified and discussed, and to see if we've got it right in that. As you're also aware, we do have the draft ordinance that has been out there for people to also review and respond to as well. And so with the bulked up program, we would be having some additional costs for the software program compared to what we are doing for the current program. We would also be looking to hire a full-time inspector, because one of the things we would be doing annual inspections instead of every other year in that. So that pretty much doubles the workload. The other thing along those lines is the current person who is it is Mark Coker, who's the primary person doing those inspections. He is also training to become our certified floodplain manager. And so knowing that's going to be something coming up into the future with the new flood maps and the rebuild, his resources are going to be needed in other parts of the operation. So having him freed up to do that, and then have a full-time person to do the inspections will be a good thing with that. Also would propose to have an upgrade for the administrative assistant position to be administrator. Going a little bit back, talking toward earlier today about creating opportunities for people to move up in the organization and creating a bit of my current org chart is very flat, and I have everybody reporting to me, which I think once we get this program up and going, having a bit of responsibility for that administrator to then supervise that program and the staff there would be a good thing. We're also looking to have more training available for operators, as well as the management companies in regard to best practices of how they can best run their businesses, as well as comply with our ordinance and to do that. Also, the increased fee will provide resources for police and fire to respond as necessary. That has been something that has been identified as an issue, that if they don't have people go out and respond to complaints. The complaints go unresolved. And then part of also of the repositioning of things is to get the management companies and the operators to be the first responders to the issues, to resolve them as they can, and then also to work better with our management companies and such, so that we again have better lines of communication, so that we can identify the things that are working and things that are not working, and communicate those things back out to them. So again, creating to balance the various interests that are out there when it comes to neighborhood quality of life for the residents, also making sure that the management companies can take care of the things that they need to be taken care of, and then also the operators themselves understand what they're doing, and lastly, that the people that are staying here also have a clean, safe environment.
How many Airbnbs do we have now?
We are currently at 1,350 that are registered. Christie, we probably estimate there's another 500 to 700 that are
Not registered.
not registered, which is another piece that, for me, the most impressive thing I saw with the software vendor is that they are data mining, and they have the listings, and so they will be able to send a letter off to somebody that says, is this you? We believe this is you. So get registered, or not, or stop doing your rental. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What is the consequences of not registering?
Take them to court.
You just take them to court, is that?
So right now, they get a first letter that tells them they have 15 days to become compliant. Within those
Okay.
15 days, if they don't become compliant, they get another letter that gives them an extended period of time. If they don't do that, then they go in front of George Potter.
And then they'll go to court.
Christie, how do you, okay, so like the other day, I come in, we have an Airbnb right beside us. It just happened. And sure enough, they had not registered, and they're with one of the companies here in town. So how do you know, how do you, okay, so you weren't here. Stephanie sent the letter off right then. But how do you know that they became registered? Yeah. I mean, how, do they send something back, and then if they don't, does something happen that you go, oh, we need a second letter for that? I mean, how do you know that person became compliant?
I stay up on top of them. I have a tickler.
Yep.
So this letter was sent out. I have
Yep.
on the 15th day.
Yep.
I go in. If it's not completed, then the second letter goes out. By the end of that time, the tickler tells me, okay, go check it. I check it. If it's not then, and then it would go to court.
That's all I wanted to know.
No, they told them in that first letter that they're not in compliance in any, say, any short-term rentals that they have from here to the future must be not taking place until they become compliant, get their business registration permit and fire inspection and so on, and get their certificate of short-term rental. So they're, and then really all you got is neighbors as far as
The neighbors call.
verification. But they
The
would-
neighbors
yeah,
call.
They wouldn't say anything. They did.
Yes, the neighbors call me all the time.
Okay, so, but they're told to stop
Yes.
like that.
So with every Airbnb, like the fire department is supposed to go and see, make sure that they have, no?
No, the
Okay.
fire department doesn't do those inspections. Our inspectors do them.
Oh, our inspectors, okay.
Didn't the fire department used to do it?
Yeah.
They
Yes.
used to.
Some point.
Was it a timing issue?
Probably.
Mayor Crawford, Counselor Corey, I think the last time when Cody Thetford was still the chief, I think they were doing them, and,
Well, Ross did a bunch
yeah.
to make sure they
Did
had
you all
smoke
have Ross also
detectors
do,
and-
because then you started,
So in areas, there are certain areas, when I was still doing inspections before the building officials took over for me, There's certain areas that it's better for someone to be there present with me.
Right.
So Ross would go and he would do those with me when Ross was
Because you
there.
had Bobby there when Bobby worked for us?
Yes.
Because he started and he was going out and doing inspections.
Yes, sir.
And you would kind of tag team that. Bobby Lopez.
So Alex, you talked about raising fees. What percentage are you targeting, or what is your estimate of?
The draft that we've put together, the permit fee would be $565 annually. And then if they need to have a business license, it would be the $35. So just rounding it up to about $600.
So they do have to have a business license?
If they are operating independently, they will need to have a business license. If they're working with a management company, they do not need to have a business license.
That's what
Okay.
EB had suggested. I wholeheartedly agree that we somehow charge more if they have more bedrooms.
We had discussed that in the subcommittee, and that's two pieces to the puzzle that we went, I wouldn't say around and around on, but it kind of came back to the same spot in regard to having a limit on the occupancy at two persons per bedroom on there, because the consensus is we don't want to be a party house kind of community with that, and also having an additional, trying to figure out how to allow for the super houses wasn't something that we were, as I would call it, those very large ones. We didn't have a good solution at that point in time, so we kind of just have left it with that, without having something for a
Yeah,
larger house than that. Yeah.
As you know better than I, enforcement is extremely difficult. I mean, you say two people to a bedroom, who's actually gonna be enforcing that? You know, as a neighbor of a rental, I go by how many cars are out in the street, not necessarily how many people are in the house. So, you know, I'd be careful how we rely on compliance, because it's clearly not gonna be done by the property manager. It's not gonna be done by the renter, you know.
And that is also, Mr. Corey, that's also why we have additional funding in there for the police and/or fire. If there is a concern that's brought forward, a complaint, that they have the resources to go out and investigate and enforce on
And they have in some cases, you know, there's too many people here, and you got tonight, tomorrow, some of you got to go.
The other system, the other change that we're looking to do, because right now, the enforcement is kind of set up on citing the guests, the renters. We're going back to, in my mind, how code enforcement really operates, that you're going after the property owner.
Right.
And so the system that we're proposing to set up, they are the ultimate person responsible for making sure that the occupancy is held to, that the number of parking, the number of cars, the number of parking spaces, off-street spaces are provided, and no more than that. They will be responsible for making sure the noise level comes down. They will be responsible for making sure that if there is an emergency where an emergency contact person needs to be reached out to, that they respond within 30 minutes. Otherwise, that there will be a suspension of their license, and then moving toward a revocation hearing that the council would have to have.
That was 3 unresolved issues within a calendar year
That-
from the beginning of the first infraction or unresolved issue to the third, if that was within 1 calendar year.
We've set it up a 12-month period, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, but I thought we heard that that's not being enforced because the
This
violations are occurring by the renters, not the landlord.
Correct. So that is the system that's the system we're proposing. That there would, if a property has 3 unresolved issues that they don't take care of within 2 hours of being notified or 90 minutes of being notified, that their permit would be suspended administratively suspended by this department, the Community Development Department. And then there would be a hearing in front of the council where the council would have the opportunity to revoke their license for a period of 365 days.
Has Zach been involved in these discussions?
He's not been involved in these discussions. We're going to follow up with him to make sure that
Yeah.
everything we're proposing is something that we can actually do.
I would hate for us to adopt an ordinance and then find out 5 years from now, well, we couldn't enforce it.
So that's the reason behind the higher fees, so that we have resources to administer the program.
Alex, I'm sorry, what was this 600,000?
That is our estimated budget or resources that we estimate, because with the higher fees, there will be some folks that will say, I'm not interested in doing this anymore, it doesn't, the numbers don't work for me. So we would say there would be the number of rentals, or the number of units, the number of permits would drop by that. So we're not being overestimating, we're being conservative in the amount of money that we would be generating, but that we could support the program effectively.
So basically, we're at 1,350, he thinks that we might lose 350, so he's based it off $1,600, roughly 600,000 in revenue, right?
Yes.
And then that's where,
Good.
huh?
You're so good.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's where they would get the money to hire the additional individual to help do the checking, also to help supplement payment on this new software that scrubs constantly and gives them forecasts on what they should expect per property. It'll tell them who owns the property, how many properties are owned by that company, that individual, or whatever, to make sure they're all in compliance.
Got it.
And then if they are having problems, they're documented, the police has them in their information, so that they go out instead of doing a drive-by, they actually go.
I'm excited for the new software.
Yeah, I am too.
It's only taken us 2 years
I know.
from when I first saw it.
Yeah.
So, Alex, on the software, did we secure the price agreement?
I've not heard yet if we've secured that they have a
Okay.
price
They
agreement
said,
with us or not.
We heard from the company, they said they were on a government price agreement like the state or the federal price agreement. They haven't provided us that. And if they're not on a price agreement, we're going to have to go out and do RFPs or invitation for bids. So we need to make sure that they are on some sort of price agreement, GSA or whatever that is, so.
Mayor, you mocked 2 years in government, that's a light year.
Yeah, I know what it is. I almost forget about them sometimes, and then times I assume we're already doing it,
Yeah.
only to find out, no, I'm wrong. But yeah, we're headed in the right direction for sure. And with that comes defensible space, to make sure that we've inspected them, that they are in compliance and all of those things.
You're right, Mayor. I would add to that we also, with that additional permit fee, we need to be able to provide the service back to the operators, to the management companies as well. I feel that we're doing a pretty decent job on there, but we're raising the bar from the standpoint, if we're going to say everything's going to be done annually, that we need to be able to provide when they say, I need somebody here, that we can have somebody there to do the inspections.
And don't forget, we need to send some Parsons some money, Jerry, because he's picking up a lot more trash, and so these are all of that increase in fees that we need to make sure that it gets around.
Yeah.
So if we take that step forward in that direction, we've already had some preliminary conversations with forestry as well, because they rely upon some of the permitting process to get people in compliance with the forestry as well. So the idea that the short-term rental program and the cost of short-term rentals that they incur upon village services, that we can cover those costs as best we can. Yeah.
Really, $535, that's a drop in the bucket. That's one night rental.
Even the smaller houses, it
Yeah.
ends up being like one weekend of a rental that they pay for their permit for the whole year is what
Yeah.
we're basing it on.
Yeah,
And then how much it costs for all of us like everything that's involved to cover all of that.
Yeah.
But as a former, and Joe will probably attest to this, by the time, if you have a management company, by the time they take out all their fees and,
Nickel and dime you to death.
yeah, you get nickel and dime to where you go, this isn't really worth it.
Yeah.
We're going long-term rental, which meets another objective.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
So it's kind of, hopefully we'll get to a good equilibrium where everybody's making money and that the ones that weren't in that position. But what it is causing a lot of upgrading in a lot of these older homes.
Well, it's also significantly increased property values.
Yeah. And realtors love it. And when they thought somehow they thought we were going to get rid of STRs, those people, they're right up there with the Teamsters Union, so I just want to let you know, be ready.
UAW. Could I ask
We
a
are-
question on the permit structure there right now as far as the fee? Isn't that, your management companies, don't they just pay one permit fee and then register all of their STRs underneath that?
They pay one business registration.
Right.
And then they individually register to be permitted each of the properties that they manage.
All right, so it's just a business registration?
Yes, sir.
And then if they break away from that, and start operating it themselves, then they must go get their own.
They have to transfer the permit to themselves and then get their own business registration,
Yeah.
the owner managers.
Okay? Good stuff.
I'll be anxious to see what happens tonight.
Oh, I can tell you what's going to happen. Yakety yak, yak
I'll
yak.
be there. I'm going to say 30 people.
Exactly. That's what I think.
And it's going to be the same ones. And just I've been sent screenshots of comments on Facebook that it's the same old stuff, a lot of, armchair quarterbacking, and so we'll see.
Misinformation.
Yes. So you'll get the ones that are serious, and then they'll have their input, and I think it'll go pretty well. Jacob and those guys, he's never been in one of these meetings, but Bill Hall has been.
Bill
So-
Hall is on it?
Well, he's on that subcommittee.
Yeah.
And Bart Byers.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah, so they're used to a little stressful,
sure.
and so I'm anxious to see how Jacob.
Well, the ones with the property managers that we did and the one that we did here with the focus group, it went really well. And it wasn't, I was expecting more pushback and we didn't get it. So I've read all of the comments on Facebook. I fell down that rabbit hole. So what I'm expecting tonight is gonna fall along the same lines. That there'll be people that are genuinely concerned with wanting to help with the situation and give the input that we need.
Yeah.
To go in the right direction, to help the locals and then keep our tourism.
I love your positive attitude.
Thanks.
Well, we've had them in there where they come in and they're totally against it, 100%, man, I hate it, and what do you do for a living? Well, I clean short-term rentals.
But not those.
Yeah,
Christie, send us a postcard.
I will.
But we'll have some security there, and then Joe and I'll be standing around, and so I think it'll be just fine. Now, if it was a water meeting, it would be a different story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
All right, Parks and Recreation.
Brevity's appreciated. What was that?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So I will start with our mission statement. Our mission statement hasn't changed from previous years, or from last year. I believe we changed it last year. But the Parks and Recreation Department elevates the quality of life in our community by providing programs, facilities, events, and opportunities for locals and visitors who live and play in nature's playground. And so, our goal is to improve the quality of life for the village of Ruidoso. As Cheryl touched on earlier, we are one position away from being fully staffed, and that person should start the 10th of next month. And we
What
will be-
position is that, Matt?
It's a parks maintenance worker. And so that will fully staff us.
Oh, my gosh.
Good Lord willing, nothing happens between now and the 10th. Then, so we did have 2 new ones start yesterday and 1 new one start 2 weeks ago, I believe, 3 weeks ago. So, we've had several new ones come online.
Great job.
So we're excited, or at least I am. So the first thing we have on our strategic plan, goal number 1 is going to be complete improvements and rehabilitation of Two Rivers Park. As we know, it got damaged through the flooding process. So that's new bridges, a pavilion, new benches, picnic tables. We're looking at possibly doing a second additional pavilion there, replacing the one that was damaged, as well as another new one. That park's well used and
Is the
rented.
playground okay?
The playground is not. We're gonna have to replace it
Oh,
too.
really?
So
So
It was
is that
already-
all still closed?
the playground is, the trail in the back is open. So you just can't, once you get to the end, you have to backtrack back around. But everything else on that is open. The problem with the playground one, it was already slated for replacement. The playground that's at Schoolhouse Park was originally slated to go in Two Rivers.
No, that's a great playground.
Because we got the grant for Schoolhouse Park, we had to work quickly. We relocated it there. And, then it worked out for the best because that park wasn't affected, so I didn't lose a brand new playground. So the old playground needs to be replaced anyways, but also the fall surface of it was inundated with the silt and stuff from the river. And so the fall surface is no longer viable at the Two Rivers Playground, so. It
Matthew,
does.
I've got a general question. You've got a lot of balls in the air. You've got a large department. How do you prioritize what needs to be done?
So Mayor and Councilman Corey, I'm very fortunate that I have T-Bone as an assistant director as well as several really good supervisors. We have weekly staff meetings and it's taking the apple one bite at a time. It's each department or each division's supervisors kind of prioritize for their division. And then it brings up to me and sort through those priorities, and if we can get them all done with each division going, or if not, we look at budgetary items and things like that to see what is the large priority. I had a city manager once that explained it to me that, I get to see the full pie and each of them get their little piece of it, and as long as they take care of their piece, then, they can focus on that, and as it gets bigger, I focus on the bigger pie, and it's the same as here. I have a big slice of pie, and then Ron gets the whole pie, type of thing, so.
So I guess what I was getting at, you've got Two Rivers, you've got the disc course at Alto, you got the trails at Grindstone. Money's limited. How do you decide which gets priority?
It is, so we're fairly fortunate, in the state of New Mexico there's a lot of grants.
Okay.
There's a lot of grant opportunities for recreation and quality of life. And so, that's partially the priorities we put in like these, is things I can go get grants for now. And then, there are those, like the master plan, those bigger plans and stuff like that will set us a path towards the future to be able to set those priorities. A problem with the Parks and Rec is we have a lot of individual master plans. So they took White Mountain Sports Complex and made a master plan out of it. They took Two Rivers Park and made, it's actually a conceptual plan out of it. There's small master plans, but there's not a comprehensive one. As you'll see later in here, I'll talk about a comprehensive Trails and Master Plan, Parks and Rec and Trails Master Plan that will basically help set those larger goals of like, hey, here's really where we need to be heading. Because currently we do have, each of those smaller ones has the goal for that spot. But like, for example, in White Mountain Sports Complex, it calls for tennis courts because they say, well, a community your size needs tennis courts and you don't have any tennis courts here, which we don't, but I have them at Two Rivers Park. Schoolhouse Park, which is adequate tennis courts for the play that happens.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
And so, that's kind of how.
So, as we move into the comprehensive planning process, I hope you guys have an active role in that, because sometimes those plans get a little too optimistic, and they're a little bit too grand in nature, and we need a balance to where we can keep it.
Definitely, and I also have a Parks and Rec Commission that I answer to. It's a sub-board of y'all's that, they're a guiding factor also in a lot of our decisions, and I do take things to them and say, hey, we're looking at these 3 or 4 things, where do y'all rank them, how do you feel about each one, and so we do also do that. They're a sounding board and a directional board for me
And
as
for
well.
example, like White Mountain, we did a master plan on that, where it called for an indoor community center, and so by the time you add up that, you're 35 million or 40. But that doesn't mean you can't have the plan with those things identified, but then you start here. And then what can we do, and what's that look like in money? Because you see some of these resources need $500,000. They're gonna start seeking funds for that. So we have to have a plan to know what kind of money we're going to.
Well, and again, picking up on your message last night, in the event we are able to repurchase some flooded properties and make them green space, I mean, that's gonna create
That's a whole
Yeah.
big
set of challenges.
Well,
And
and
that will be huge, because that's funding that we're going after for funding through FEMA or NRCS to purchase.
Yeah.
Once we do that, then it'll be a whole nother ball of wax on what do we think it looks like, and that's where this, whether it's Phyllis or whomever, gives us some good ideas to bring back to those committees, but keeping in mind if it's in Upper Canyon, that we involve the folks in Upper Canyon. And then overall, we would like to have a path that comes all the way down through and ends up in Midtown and all that. We started that years ago, but now we have that opportunity, and then fish habitats along the way and access to the river, and keeping in mind the people across the river are still private property, so it's a big deal. And so this is something that we really need to get started so that we have a plan moving forward. It doesn't mean it can't be modified, but that here's where we're going. And because every time I go to some place and I see something or a conference and I see something that's really, wouldn't that be cool? Or, and one of the goals we've tried to do is spread people out on busy weekends, to get them just not in Midtown or just at ski, play park, whatever, is what can we do? That's when we look at White Mountain. That's when we've looked at Moon Mountain. And so we've got more than we can do, but we just trying to get a plan so that when these things start falling in place, that we have goals to go for.
exactly, and a lot of it is also having those plans in place. For example, not this past October, but the October before, DFA came out, Department of Finance Administration for the state came out and said, hey, we're gonna do a quality of life grant. They literally, I think it was October like 10th or 12th, they said, hey, next week or week and a half, we're gonna have a Zoom meeting to talk about this new grant. And then, oh yeah, it's due in 2 weeks after we have the Zoom meeting. And you can get $1 million for it, but you have to spend it in 6 months. And so having those plans kind of in place, which, just the general updates to our parks was one of our plans, and having those in place, I can
So
go in and go,
it's
hey,
shovel ready.
yeah, hey, I'm ready for that $1 million.
That's what they do. They'll say, well, first it was, do you have anything on the shelf that y'all could, or conceptual y'all have talked about? Now then it's like, you got something ready to go. And that's where we're trying to get to, so we can just, how much money are we talking about, and then the categories that fit, which one's priority?
Exactly.
I do want, I think we've done a really good job with our master plans. Wingfield Park, I mean, we've come along. We don't have everything that we wanted. The one that I'm the most concerned about is White Mountain Complex. And, that's, like the mayor said, that's $40 million. And it's not just the village of Ruidoso, it's the Ruidoso Municipal School District involved in this. So the only thing that I would say is, and I know we didn't develop it and then set it on the shelf, but to the regular eye out there, it's like, why should we go through all of this, getting together, what do you want, blah, 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 and nothing is done? So, you know, I think we need to get back with the schools and see if
We
there's.
still are. Michael's the liaison that meets with.
And I'm on that committee. We haven't met in quite some time.
Well, Michael's reached out when we've talked about simple things that we're sharing property on, like where we move the logs and everything. Where, you know, we were dumping all those off by the dog
Yes,
park, and we
yes.
got those moved over. So there's still some, but little, because they've modified it. They've put
They've
in
asked
what
for a
they would
lot of
like to
different changes.
change up a little bit, and so they've sent it to us. These guys have looked at it, but you're right, we need to get back to having regular meetings. to
I
get
would
that
just
finished.
like to see at least something towards, something that's going in on that master plan, because nothing has been done. I mean, we've got some grand plans. It's just that we don't have we haven't had the funds to do, and we are with another entity, so, it's kind of made it.
Agreed, and I think that's, you know, when we get to that portion, the updated Parks and Rec master plan is.
Oh, I'm
part-
sorry, I jumped the gun.
No, you're good. I think when we do get that, I'll expand a little bit, but, I would like to see the whoever we do work with, give us different options for phasing, like a project like that, because currently that project is 3 phases. Each phase is about $16 million. And so even at a phase, it's still extremely hard to find that funding for something like that. And so I would like to find something that, honestly, that low-hanging fruit of, hey, we can do this or we can do that to make it,
I was
you know,
hoping.
start working
like
towards it.
Fencing the fields. I thought maybe that would spur on some, you know, help the fields.
But that's
the
that's
animals.
their job. That's the school.
Yeah,
department.
so, and one thing I
They
caution.
didn't want fencing.
One thing I caution with that is like, say we do go put fencing around the schools and then 2 or 3 years from now, the state does decide, you know what, I think that's a great capital improvement project, because we have submitted it a few times to the state for that. And they go, we'll fund it. Well, then we just spent $100,000 on fencing that we're now gonna tear out, that's not gonna fit the new layout.
But
And,
how much money are we spending with the fields, trying to keep those fields going with all the animals on the fields?
Honestly, it's a lot of man hours to clean the poop off the fields, but the animals don't tear it up other than feces on the fields. And, you know, the horses do a little bit of damage just because the way horses eat, they actually rip the grass out by the root versus, like elk or deer just actually bite the grass off. The elk, deer don't really harm the fields, honestly. The horses do, but it's not to such a detriment that it's that extremely difficult to keep up with. I mean, if they are eating in one area and cause a little bit of a bald patch, we go out, reseed it.
Okay.
Grass seed grows fairly quickly because it is irrigated on those fields. And so we're able to maintain them for that.
But when we talked about fencing before, the school said no
I got one question on that, and it's not really just the,
for now.
but, you know, the master plan's been a while back, but once everything gets completed over there, my only thought is that particular parking lot in that area, for how many disasters, Little Bear Fire, for the Bride Fire.
That was the only option we had.
That's the only place where that we had a parking lot and field large enough, and at times it didn't seem large enough to house and to put the recovery people in. Where are we gonna put them?
Well, you're gonna have gates. You
Well,
can still go up.
that
We're
was-
talking about plowing up, tearing up that asphalt, you know, and putting in more green space for the kids' soccer's.
Yeah.
And then small, more utilitarian type parking lots for the dog park,
Sprinkled around.
the pickleball court, and then a road that goes through, so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
more access for the school.
And those are some definitely great things to, you know, to look at, because when I put it in front of a planner that's a Parks and Recreation planner, they're gonna go, oh no, but it's prettier to have these small parking lots sprinkled throughout instead of one large parking lot. But we understand with disasters, maybe a larger parking lot is needed, you know, and so some of the design
Well,
efforts
But
on that.
our priorities.
And it's not just disasters. I mean, historically, we've had, you know, the circus there, we've had fairs there.
I mean, that,
I had meant to ask for a while, it looked like there was a company training truck drivers.
Yeah,
it's us.
That's our.
that's where we do our CDL
CDL.
training.
Yeah,
CDL
so,
training.
I mean, there's gonna be a need for a large lot.
For example, our drone shows. That parking lot area is full during our drone shows. And so it definitely is a need, that we just have to evaluate the best way to use, that area.
When is the dog park moving?
That's
I get that, asked that
Is that a
question.
bad question?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I get asked that question every time I'm there. And of course, I blame, the fire, the 6 months we've been at on that, but that it's in planning and the reason that and I've told them in the beginning and the people that we do the planning so we can get the idea agreed to, then we have to look at what it costs to build it, and all this takes a lot of time. And so we hope we get it done in your lifetime.
Agreed. So, I will move on to our goal number 2. The goal number 2 is the complete design and construction of Alto Disc Golf Course. So we know that is in the process now. I walked the course last week with Everett Brophy, our designer and builder. It's looking really good. That course is coming along really well. They
What
got
is
the
the-
design mostly
What
done.
is the usage and the demand for?
So they're very high usage. So we actually we host 3 of the top 5 disc golf courses in New Mexico. So Grindstone, Wingfield, and Oso are 3 of the top 5 used courses in New Mexico. Our goal with this last course is what we need to host master level events. Or we will host a master level event this year and to host major events going forward. So we're anticipating probably not 26, most likely 2027, we'll host a major event, which when I say a major event, so I believe there are 11 major events worldwide for professional disc golf. And we would be one of their tour stops. So the same as PGA, Professional Golf Association, they have Professional Disc Golf Association that has tour stops, that does a certain number of tour stops throughout the world each year, and we would host one of those, is our goal. And we had representatives from the PDGA in town a couple weeks ago, actually, to walk all of our courses, and they were extremely happy with our courses.
Do we have a sense of what the local use is?
Heavy T-Bone might be able to speak more on it, but I know that we host leagues out there throughout the summer. Wingfield Park has a league every Wednesday night that hosts about 50 to 60 players every Wednesday night. Every time you go to any one of our courses, there's going to be somebody playing on it. They're very heavily used.
There's also a disc golf club, and they play twice a week.
Okay.
They do a doubles on Saturday, and they move around, Usually they play Grindstone, and I see them on Facebook all the time. They'll say, let's play, Oso today.
Okay.
Or even Mescalero, let's go play Mescalero today. But, there's several people that have been involved for years, and, it's kind of like pickleball, it's the new growing sport.
Yeah.
New old growing sport.
Yeah.
And for example, we have throughout the summer months, every Friday night, there's a glow disc golf round at Grindstone Disc Golf Course. They play the front 9 glow round every single
The high
Friday.
school, weren't they putting a
The
team together? We had them on the radio one day. There was,
high school has a team. I don't know I think their sponsor retired, so I don't know if they've gotten a new sponsor. I believe they have for that, and I know Everett works with them a lot. And so, yeah, they're doing that. It's anticipated, I would say, within the next 5 years, disc golf's going to become a high school sport. It is picking up a lot of traction to head that away, and so I could see it becoming a high school sanctioned sport in the next probably 5 years. Which this will also set us up in a really good area to be able to host high school state championships, other high school type of leagues. What's really awesome is we're about to have 4 of the best in the state. Las Cruces finally got their first 9-hole disc golf course in. So, we're definitely an industry leader in New Mexico when it comes to disc golf. And, it looks really good on us. We get a lot of people in town for it.
How does Everett pay for that?
Pay for,
Do we pay for that?
Yeah, we pay for it and lodger's tax funding and grant funding and things like that, but he's the contractor, whatever, that,
yeah. Yeah, so this disc golf course was paid through a grant, that we acquired. It's a Trails Plus grant. And so, that was paid for that. This is the one that's being put in by Dynamic Dookie.
Yeah.
Because that's his construction side of his company. But, he is Dynamic Disc also, so. So that is for that. The next thing is improvements to the country club property. Our last council meeting, I kind of brought y'all some ideas and some thoughts we had. We want to work more on it. I do have a budget of 500,000 there. And honestly, I put the $500,000 budget because that's the max budget that, the grant that I will be able to use, one of the grants I'll be able to use, for this project will allow is up to 500,000. Another grant is $1 million. The big cost, honestly, of that park, would be like the large stones to separate the parking lot from the park. Those stones are very expensive stones, those bigger stones.
Well, and again, Matthew, I would strongly recommend the comprehensive plan update focus on this opportunity. Because it's a golden opportunity.
Definitely.
Where that land's located.
Definitely. And then my next goal is going to be the create and adopt a comprehensive master plan for parks, recreation, and trails. And so that will put together all of our parks and our recreation opportunities, so that not only will tell us in the parks, how many more basketball goals we need, how many more picnic tables, things like that. But also our recreation opportunities, our youth sports, do we have enough? Do we have the right amount? Do we have the right type of programming? Do we have the right type of adult recreation programming? As well as a Trails Master Plan. So that Trails Master Plan is integral, and we really want to create connectivity through the community.
Yeah.
And so, like currently, you can walk on the Lynx Trail. You can get to Cedar Creek through the sidewalks and crossing Meacham.
At the risk of your life.
Agreed. And so it's some of those, or how do we tie in the Lynx Trail to get to Midtown, to then get to Wingfield Park, to how to get to Grindstone after that. And tying in all of the different areas, the Riverwalk Trail, as you mentioned earlier, Mayor, those different areas, how can we get all the trails to link together?
Are the schools still doing a trail to the?
Allegedly.
What's the latest on that?
The last I've heard is they're waiting till after things thaw out and dry up, is what they say, to start construction again, is the last I've heard.
2030.
and I was told that they had some pushback on the way they had done it. You remember that was all riparian waterway?
Yeah.
And then they just did
Well,
it?
and that's part of the challenge with the property next to SVP is it's a marshland, so.
What's going on over there, talking of that, if you're going past the Halls, not Hall, Taylor's, and you come around, there's a bunch of excavating that's been going on that right side. They cut some logs and they got little chairs.
That's Casey Mowdy, Casey Taylor's little lot that she's,
Oh, back in the back.
Well, it's as you come around the corner, we have a well there.
right, and
Yeah.
and she bought that lot from Ted Durham.
Oh, right there.
And
back
you
in-
drive back that way by her dad's house.
Well, yeah, you go past you can come in. the
Yeah.
That
trail.
way, and
Yep,
then
Yep, yep.
she's doing something over there. I don't know what.
I don't know
She
what.
has an RV that was parked over there for a while.
She wants to build a house, a little house.
That's correct. I was in Michael's office when they were talking about that.
Thank you.
Little off-the-grid home, some type of thing. But so those are our big things. Some of the other things, we put our top 5 in here. Some of the other things is like, we are planning on this year to rewrite our policies and procedures for youth and adult sports. I've tasked our recreation department with that. We've been working on them the last few years. I have a really good recreation team. They're doing amazing things with our rec programs. And so we really want to nail down those opportunities and those policies and procedures. We've gotten really good at enforcing them, to the dismay of some members of our public. But the vast majority have enjoyed them. I got news yesterday, like our youth basketball has actually gone up 22% from last year to this year.
That's
For our
very
youth
good.
basketball program, which is a phenomenal job. What's crazy is it's not, they're all over, the numbers are all over the place. One group dropped off and one group really, really grew. I'm guessing the drop-off group was, it's the younger kids, and it's just a new generation coming in.
Are they playing at Horton?
They are, yes, sir. And so, it's really good to see those youth programs. We're really seeing an incline in those, so. We're doing, I tell my staff we're doing something right if more people are putting their kids in our programs, so. I'll stand for any additional questions.
Great job.
The only basketball court that we have outside is the one at North Park.
No, we don't have one in North Park. It's right here at Kids
By
Connection.
Kids Connection.
That's the only one that we have.
It's the only outside court we have.
It's not regulation,
No.
just to let you know.
We have thought about like, at Two Rivers Park or Schoolhouse Park, putting basketball goals on the tennis court, there. You can put it on the edge. The only problem is you have with that is you get a lot of damage to the net.
Yep.
Other than that, they work really well. But because we use actual nets there for play, it's difficult. Like in Lubbock, I would do it, but they were in park tennis courts. They were lower quality tennis courts, and we actually use chain link nets. And
Yeah.
so they don't get the damage. Because we use fabric nets, it makes it more difficult.
Keep them tennis.
The other thing you will see is we're gonna be working on, in the next couple months, is rebuilding the sand volleyball pits. We have the one sand volleyball pit currently over here at, White Mountain. We're gonna pull that one out. It got severe damage from the flooding. We're gonna pull it out, make a double pit right there, and so we can have two sand volleyball, pits there, or two sand right here,
It's right by the walking trail.
right by the walking trail and the baseball field.
Left field between that.
And we're gonna do a double court there, and then so we can host adult sand volleyball
Oh,
in the
that'd be
summertime months.
nice, yeah.
We had adult flag football went really well. We have adult indoor volleyball that we're looking forward to, but we have some requests for adult sand volleyball, and that's usually a really fun league, and so we're looking forward to hopefully hosting that this summer.
Going back to Alto, is it open?
It's getting real close. We're working on the trail right now. We had crews go through and mow the trail, and then they're doing a little bit of dirt work on it, and we're getting very close to it. I would say within the next probably 2 weeks, week to 2 weeks. The snow set us back a little bit because all of the trail work that needs to be done is on the south side trail, which is the north face of that mountain.
Right.
And so the snow still hasn't melted off it. We're still fighting that. And actually the toilets there, the vault toilets, we were supposed to be pumped, I believe, yesterday, day before, and everyone went over there to pump them, and they were frozen solid. And so he was not able to pump them, so we're gonna work on those too. I think it's actually gonna put a heavy brine mixture in them to dissolve it back out so they can then pump it out. That's the other side of things we deal with. And then on facility side of the house, most of this in our comp plans is rec park stuff. So rec, like I said, that and facility side of the house, we will be working on, of course, a lot of facilities work orders. We're still working on the Horton and the transition over to that, and some of those just facility projects. Once the construction's done, they're handed over to us. The maintenance of the facilities is. And then work order system. We have a temporary work order system in place that is working very well right now through our through our Microsoft Teams, but we would like to expand to an actual work order system. And so,
Hey,
awesome. Thank y'all.
thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Anthony.
I'll stay up here for Anthony's, but he gets to do the show.
Sun's in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I keep trying to get just right there.
Good, whoa. Good afternoon, Mayor, councilors. So my strategic plan for the community center, we have our mission statement. It's the same as it's been. It really justifies the center. The Village of Ruidoso Community Center continues to integrate community services and programs while striving to meet our citizens' physical, psychological, social, and spiritual needs, and helping to improve the quality of life for our local residents and longtime visitors. Describes the center really well for the people that utilize it. We're fully staffed now. You know, we have our retired and senior volunteer coordinator, Amber Word. We have our technician, Debbie Navarez, and our custodian, Tammy. So we work really well together and things have been great. So there's that. So my first goal here is, the description on it is, for the Red Cross and Village of Ruidoso emergency management stuff. The center is a shelter that we utilize it for any disasters. As we've seen recently with the disasters that happened this summer, it was utilized as the, hold on. Where am I at here?
Well, if you don't know,
There
we're
was-
not gonna tell you.
Right.
Anthony.
Okay, so it was, sorry, I'm nervous. It was for the first responders staging area. It worked out really well for that. We were able to house all the, police officers, state, sheriffs and local and other officers that came in. We fed them all around the clock, 24 hours a day. We try to be well-trained in all the emergency management stuff for the center. We just recently, back in April, went through Incident Command Systems 300 training with emergency management, Homeland Security to keep our staff well-trained, and went through all that and stuff. And then, like I said, with what happened this summer, kind of got us more involved with things with the center. So we were able to go through them processes and really see how the center can be utilized for all of these disasters. We did in September have a Red Cross training on shelter fundamentals and how to set up and break down a shelter with the American Red Cross. So that was a cool thing to go through with our staff to know all about that. Our 2025 goals are just to keep training with the Red Cross and emergency management through 2025 to if there's anything else that comes up. I know some of the things that were discussed about were having maybe mobile showers. I don't know if the village ever did anything with that, to have mobile showers in those areas for anything that is needed.
So those are long-term planning that we're partnering with emergency management department on some of those. And those are just some long-term things, because we can still use them for, say, like our Xterra race, Ironman races, things like that. Parks and Rec can have them as a asset, kind of like our stages. It's not used all the time, but it's.
They're portable toilets.
Yeah.
I thought there were showers at Horton.
So there are the old locker rooms, but they haven't been really in commission. I'm sure we could go through and get them working, but they haven't really been in commission for many years. We do have two showers.
And I'm sorry, Matthew, but talking about staging for, God forbid, a future disaster, the Horton parking lot, if we were able to rehab the showers at Horton, I know that was one of the things we had looked at initially with taking ownership of Horton was the showering facilities.
Where are they at? Down by the gym?
Yes, sir, down by the gym, the back doors.
Aren't there some downstairs too?
They are, but I know we had a tour with Tim Coughlin, and he said all those pipes that froze, it's gonna take a lot of
Yeah,
work.
and when we talked to the school
Yes.
super, whatever he was, that they were a lot of, I don't know what that guy did for a living, but he said it's all.
I think it was Lenny or
Something like that.
Lanny or something like that, but they were
He
bad.
said
Facilities management.
yeah, he said it's not good down there.
But we do also have two showers at Grindstone Lake in the campground area. We do have two showers there. We have showers at the pool that we can turn into, which is across from the community center, that we can turn into emergency use. So we do have some
They're
options
not
throughout the
heated, by
village.
the way, so in the winter,
We have little space heaters for them. Good luck, but the water's warm, but the room's cold, so.
You don't have any showers currently, Anthony?
Mayor, Councilor, we do not at the center, no.
But the bathrooms are really primo.
They are nice.
Oh, yeah.
And
They got a
have
door on
doors.
them now.
They have doors.
What's
How long have you been running the community center?
I've been, with the center 20 years now. Been running it since 2013, I believe.
Good for you.
Thanks for putting up the community foundation too.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You did facilitated a lot for those guys, so we appreciate that.
Yeah,
We-
you did great.
We welcomed them. They did good for our community, so it was awesome to have them there.
No, Mayor Anthony, does the community center have AEDs or have an AED, automatic electronic defibrillator?
Defibrillators,
Mayor, Councilor, yes, we sure do.
Okay. Well, I wondered with all that talk of being a stopping center for the Red Cross and the rest, if that would be available.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we have all of that. We're equipped with that for sure. So the other thing that we talked about was an installation of a generator at the center. We do not have a generator currently, so if power ever went out, that's something to really think about. And I know there was talks about that as well. I don't know where we're at with that.
well, we have contracts with Sunbelt, Sun whatever, on portable, generators they can bring up in a day for now. But we don't have anything else.
Yeah, we're working on some grants to apply for additional generators. So,
That would be huge for that deal there. So that's what I have as far as those goals is we just want to keep our staff trained on emergency management. And so we'll be working with emergency management as training becomes available, which I hear is anticipated. So, we'll just keep staff going on that.
Kitchen looks great.
Well, thank you.
The way you closed it off, it's much more functional and it keeps visitors from inside the kitchen pretty much.
Mayor, yes.
Wandering in and out.
It's been great, yeah, and we'll talk about that a little more and further in this, but yes, we love it. It's been awesome. So if there's any questions on that one, I can move on to the next goal. Okay, so goal number 2, that's where we talked about building improvements. We try to improve that building because it's the hub for our locals, what the village gives back to the locals. So, in February 2024, an architect design was completed, and I was able to apply for a grant to do the addition on the center. So I submitted the grant application. So what I understand is that grant application has been in the mix, so it should be approved, from what I heard from the state. So that's exciting. We needed more room for that center because we're so busy. There's been probably about 250 additional people that have signed up in the center for 2024. We keep tabs on that, so it's just getting busier and busier, so the addition is huge to it because we need more areas for more classes. We're really full and people want more classes there, and when they come to me with the class, I give them the schedule and I say, if you could fit it, we'll definitely, entertain it, and a lot of times they just hand the schedule back saying, we don't know where to fit it.
Where would the additions go, Anthony?
Mayor, Councilor Corey, the addition would be off to it would be to the west side of the building towards the pool on that back side.
Where the pavilion
Where the
is?
pavilion is, yes. It would add additional, kitchen cooking area. So what the kitchen area is now would be the prep area, the back of that would be the cooking area. And then towards the middle between the bridge room and the kitchen would be another meeting area with bathrooms. So it'd add a whole additional space in the middle there. So it doesn't seem like so much, but when we did the design came out great, so it's gonna incorporate a lot for that center there.
Good.
So yeah, the grant application was submitted in May of 2026. With the existing kitchen that we have, we were able to renovate it using New Mexico Aging and Long-Term Services Capital Outlay Improvement Grant that we received. We were able to renovate both kitchens, the commercial kitchen, renovated the walls, and like Mayor was describing, we were able to move the door over and put a window there for people to put their trays and stuff in, instead of being in and out of that kitchen, causing a traffic jam there, and causing safety as well. Nobody needs to be in that kitchen. So we renovated that whole thing and brought it up to standards with the walls, putting stainless steel on the walls, redoing all of the walls in there, so that way it's a lot cleaner. And then making our sinks where we wash dishes and stuff a lot easier to do dishes through there. And also, our storage area, we were able to build shelves in there and make our storage area a lot better for us. We were able to store things a lot better versus those old cabinets that we had there. So that was part of the renovation. And with that, they also renovated the restrooms up there, which talked about as well. Redid the sinks, redid the tile on the walls, all of that. So now everything's automatic flushing, the urinals, which is downstairs too. The bathrooms were renovated downstairs. Sinks are, automatic. I mean, in times I went every day to go shut the center down and the sinks are running because people just leave them running. So that was able to save us water instead of running water all the time. They shut themselves off, the
You say
lights.
downstairs?
Yes, sir, Mayor,
Closer to Sutter,
By the bridge room.
the big activity room, then you cross over to the bridge room. Those are the downstairs bathroom. Because when you walk in, you got those short steps.
Those
to
2 or
the
3
dining
steps,
room.
okay, so it's downstairs.
when we
Stretching that one.
We got, our couple of flights of stairs. Yes, the downstairs towards Sutter Drive, those bathrooms that are down there, we were able to put privacy doors on those. There was never any privacy doors,
Yeah, no
so
kidding.
those are huge. I mean, everybody loves that, the privacy of that now, and
Both sides of the door appreciate that one.
exactly, especially everybody working out doesn't have to, all the stuff.
Waving.
So we were able to renovate those restrooms as well. And so the renovation, the Aging and Long-Term Services grant funding that we received, we're able to renovate all of that, which like I was talking about, the kitchen, now that it's renovated, will go right into the new addition that we add on to the kitchen area. So this is new onto the newer area of it, so it's gonna fall right into the next grant that we
How
received.
much did that kitchen renovation cost?
275,000 is what I remember it was. I believe that's what it was.
Did you replace like the oven and range and?
Councilor Corey, no, we actually did not replace the ovens or anything like that because they were fairly new.
Okay.
I had just received a grant from the Hubbard Foundation to purchase that stovetop griddle and all of that. So they supplied us with that, a new steam table. So that was fairly new. I didn't have to do that. But the kitchen that's downstairs on the other side of the building in the bridge room, that has a little small kitchen. We were able to replace all the appliances in there. We got a new dishwasher, new stove, new refrigerator, and automatic coffee machine for them. So we're really taking care of the bridge people at that point. So they also renovated all the walls in that kitchen as well, the ceiling in there and everything. So it came out really nice. We utilized that funding on that. So both sets of bathrooms in both kitchens, we were able to do it all with all of that. Other things we did is just supplying more heating and cooling vents to the lobby. There wasn't very many in there, so it stayed really cold or really warm depending on the time of year. So we added vents to that area. We are doing right now, we're replacing all the internet wiring throughout the center. It's old. I mean, it's probably, I'd say like 15, 18 years old. So all the ends of it were falling off the phones. I was in there messing around, trying to get our printer to work by messing with things, and it was just horrible. So we got together with Andrew Solens and Robin and all that, and got Mountain Electric to replace that. So they've been working on it this week to replace all of our internet lines. So that's exciting for us. My phone would disconnect while I'm on a call, and it takes 5 minutes to reconnect. So that's being done right now. Our 2025 tactical plan that's coming up. I'm applying for a grant to renovate the parking lot that is there. I know that we did, Parks and Rec just did the playground, and now that we saw how busy the playground was without the pool open, it is, the parking lot back there is busy, so I can't imagine what this summer's gonna bring. So now that, we got the addition hopefully coming, now we gotta move on to the parking lot. So I understand that Parks and Rec is gonna be moving the playground that's in front of the center, more towards the First National Bank there. They're gonna be removing that, so the plans are for us to put parking further that way.
Excavated out.
Yes.
Well, there's some blue spruce somewhere around there. You want to make sure you don't cut them down.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, so that will be taking over that area right there, as well as, because we can, with this grant, we can use it also probably all the way back towards where the pool is, basically to where the pool is, to redo all that parking. The pool,
Kind of
the
wasted space.
the
right
pool
there.
entrance, is a very narrow entrance, so we wanna widen that one out a little bit, as well as, restructure the parking a little bit in that area right behind the new playground. That will allow us to do basically 3 rows of parking versus it kinda angles off and it's kind of oddly shaped and so.
Well, and the curbing is awkward.
There's not great curbing, and so we wanna just pull all that out and redesign it.
And that old bathroom came out, didn't it?
No, that bathroom's staying in.
Oh, that one's staying.
That one's staying in. The one that's coming out's the white bathroom on the hill behind the
On
pool.
the hill, okay.
Yes, sir. So that's part of this project is redoing all of that parking lot and, it'll give a nice area in the front, so it'll have a lot more parking in the front of, I think they said we can add like 50 more spots or something like that, 50 or 60, I believe, more spots in front of the, building, which will be really helpful, cause that parking lot does get very full. And then it will keep people from parking behind it to then open those spots for people at the playground, and so. That's what we're really looking forward to.
How soon do you think you'll remove the playground equipment?
I was planning on already having it out by this point.
Right.
With every other project going on, it's kind of been put on the back burner a little bit. I don't have a definite date on that.
This is the old playground.
The old
Yes.
playground in front of
That's-
the.
yeah.
Can that be used to 603 Meacham?
So possibly, the only thing I hesitate is it's a 40-year-old playground, probably at least, that we're replacing for a reason. There's a lot of pieces we've had to patchwork together or things, and, I would venture to say it might be just as easy or even cost-effective to buy a new playground. While the playground we have at Two Rivers was a very expensive, large playground, they have very economic playgrounds that we could put over at, 603. Then we wouldn't have the maintenance and upkeep and the other issues involved.
Okay, so, I ran into something that I kind of just wanted some input on it, because right now that I'm trying to figure out with the parking lot, since the grant has come up and I'm applying for the grant, I either need to come up with a design for it, an engineered design, or I can come up, because now that I'm submitting the grant, I gotta hand in kind of like a design for it. I don't think it needs to be an actually engineered design, but I need to hand in something with that grant showing what I'm doing. And speaking with White Sets Construction, I can either apply for the grant now to get the design done, which is an engineered design, or I can just pay for a kind of sketch design to submit with this grant to actually apply for the parking lot itself. And from what I understand, it's gonna cost either $1,500 now to get kind of a design done for it. Or I can just, like I said, go through the engineered way of doing it and filing for a grant to get an actual big picture design done. So I'm kind of caught there of what to do. And this
Do you
just
have
came
a
up.
cost estimate? 'Cause that's what's gonna hurt you if you submit a grant application and say you put 350,000 and it's 600,000, then you're really gonna be short. And that's what happened to us on the links here, is that it took us 3 years to get the funding for this project, and we had a construction cost of 400,000, it was $1.2 million. Because everything's gone up 30 to 50%. So, how soon do you need a drawing?
Mayor, Manager Sena, probably within the next month is what we're anticipating. I'll let you.
So White Sands has given us a preliminary price. They've given us they've come out, looked at it, given us a preliminary price. And we can talk a little more offline if you'd like to. I think a sketch drawing would probably be sufficient. Quite frankly, it's not a complicated parking lot. It's not a complicated procedure. And so I think the sketch drawing is probably the way we'll most likely go on this.
to give you, they can put some together pretty quick, so.
Yes, Mayor, Manager Senna, yes, that's what I was anticipating doing, so we can get the ball rolling, because with us needing the parking now, and like Matt said, it's not really a big thing, just adding to the parking lot and renovating what's there. So I just wanted to get the ball rolling pretty much because we're gonna need parking quick, seeing what we saw with the playground coming in, so that's the hopes. But like I said, we could talk about it more to see where we're gonna go with that
That's
grant.
beyond our expertise.
Yes, so that would be our tactical plan for 2025. The parking is huge, so I'm gonna seek out the funding to get that going. And that's all I have on goal number 2. I'll stand for any questions. Okay, so goal number 3 is new and continued programming for the center. You know, the addition, like I talked about, is huge to that center. We want more programming for the public. People want more classes, more yoga classes, more all of that. So we need a bigger building. So hopefully that comes through, because we're always looking for new programming for people. People have a lot of wants in this community. We want to definitely provide for them.
So, Anthony, you caused me to be in the doghouse. I got, I think Carrie had sent me your list of programs, and I shared them with my wife, my recently retired wife, and said, look, honey, there's all these things, and she informed me she's not a senior citizen, so I've got to keep working on that. I may need to bring her by.
Mayor, Councilor Correa, yes, you know, we're a community center. We welcome everybody through that door.
Okay, that's what I need to tell her. It's not age related.
It is not. With our, with the equipment that we have, the exercise equipment, the fitness equipment, there's people of all ages, you know, working out there all of the time. And then they start doing the classes because they see it going on, you know, why not? So people are in that center of all ages, so it's never good. We're not watching people through the door, hey, you know, we welcome everybody.
Can I see your papers?
Yeah.
Not enough gray there, I can see that.
Nice,
Not carding them anyway.
Yeah, and I will say, coming from somewhere where I had just strictly senior centers and
Yes.
community centers, I had patrons at my senior center that were well into their 70s. They're like, well, I'm not a senior yet. And I'm like, well, maybe, you know, and so, but we are a community center. We do have programming of all
10%.
ages.
You can call me whatever you want.
Exactly. That's my dad, when he got his AARP, he was the most excited, I think, of anything when he was able to get his AARP. So, but.
Your time will come, Matt.
Hopefully, that's my goal.
Yeah,
but-
it's better than not
the
being
alternative.
becoming.
Yeah.
But no, that is, we are a community center, and that's why it's been rebranded
Well said.
a few years ago to
I
the
like
community center.
that.
Okay, so, you know, programming, like now we're in our tax season. The phone, we started taking tax appointments yesterday, and it's just, the phone's ringing off the hook. When they disconnected it to do internet service for us today, we were panicking because we couldn't, people were in the door waiting to do an appointment, and we're like, hold on, we'll get it. So that was huge last year. Now it's already taken over again, so our tax is one of our programs, and that's taken off. I know our tax season now is gonna be a little lower because there's only 3 volunteers, maybe a 4th. So we're gonna, they're taking less appointments, but if we get more people trained.
Is that part of the RSVP?
It is, that is one of our volunteer stations for the retired and senior volunteer program.
Okay. Do you provide training or?
Mayor, Councilor Corey, yes, they do provide training, and they're in their training sessions now this week.
Is
So
that H&R Block or who is it?
it's the AARP does it.
ARP does it, that's right.
Yes. So yeah, that's just another program that's come up. So our tactical plan for 2025 is just continue seeking out classes, trying different things. Some work, some don't, and actually just advertising out with the public, trying to make everybody aware. We email a lot of people. We have rack cards distributed all through the county and stuff. So we advertise as much as we can to try to bring in everybody to that center, and it's working really well for us. It's proven how busy it is. So that's my goal number 3, and I'll stand for any questions. Okay, goal number 4 is, here we come to the retired and senior volunteer program. With the volunteer program, we have 15 volunteer stations all over the county. You got your public libraries, you have the Humane Society, you have Spencer Theater, the tax program we just talked about, the food banks, backpack program for kids. And so, this last year proved to be good. We hosted a banquet, a social for them. Just the banquet's like a recognition banquet. We give out gifts, give out plaques, awards. We did that back in, I think it was April or May that we did that. So it was in May. So we gave out appreciation gifts, awards, all of that, and a dinner for them at the
That's
Ritos
very
High School
nice.
TP Lounge. Yes, they love it. So it's just kind of a give back to the volunteers that put all these hours into the community. Because they have, let me see, where is it at? See how many hours they put in for last year. Somewhere there, but anyways, what we try to do for our volunteers is we give mileage reimbursement for them. Right now, they're getting 0.585 cents per mile mileage reimbursement going to the station and back home. So they document their miles and then they submit them to us every month, and then we submit to the village accounts payable to get a mileage reimbursements to the ones that want it, and it is tax-free. So that was a huge addition lately to the retired and senior volunteer program. So we want to continue with that. We buy them uniforms every year, shirts, work shirts that have AmeriCorps or New Mexico Agent of Long-Term Services, along with the Village of Ruidoso Retired and Senior Volunteer Program logos on them, so that way they proudly wear them. I see them wearing them all over town, so our volunteers are very proud of them items that we try to distribute to them as well. Amber Word just did a coat drive recently. Coat drive, they call it the Martin Luther King coat drive every year. She was able to collect 678 coats and 13 bags of warm items, 13 big bags. So that was an outstanding deal that she just did. So, kudos to her on that and the volunteers that helped out with that. The Evergreen Cleaners cleaned the items that were received at all of these locations, Albertsons, Walgreens, Club Gas, Horton Complex, the Center, Ruidoso Downs, Senior Center. So these items were taken to Evergreen Cleaners and then taken to Christian Services where they distributed them. So everybody's doing their part in all of this, and it's all
Did
volunteer.
that free of charge?
Evergreen, yes, they did it free of charge.
We do it every year.
Every year.
That's pretty
Yeah,
sharp.
because I know with the track closing last year, they were struggling, and for them to still give is amazing.
Yes, Mayor, Councilor Corey, that was awesome of them to do. They've been doing it all these years that I've been there, so they're wonderful for doing that. Let me see, so the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program, I wanted to highlight something that they did. A lot of the volunteers during the disaster, they helped distribute clothing, food, all of this stuff to a lot of the people that were involved in the disaster and were in need of things. And so that was awesome of them to do it. Amber Word was able to put a lot of volunteers on these lists and send them where they needed to go to help out. So our RSVP volunteers were great for helping out with that. And then, of course, Amber was actually collecting hours, which I understand was like a reimbursement deal. Mm-hmm. She was able to collect the hours of the volunteers serving. It was kind of credit towards the community in some manner, sort. So she collected all those hours, and I still think she might be doing that under some deals. So yeah, it helped out a lot. She did well with that. So yeah, that's what we did. We'll continue doing the banquets, outreach to volunteers. Also with the agency Carey in Bay, they have put a platform out there with the village for people to be able to sign up under the volunteer
Yeah,
program.
that's what got me in trouble.
Okay. Yes, so they're able to submit their applications. Amber reaches out to them and signs them up where they want to volunteer at. So that's been a good outreach that the agency has done for us.
Is this the first time you've done that online?
Mayor, Councilor Corey, yes, it is. It's a new thing, and they're coming in.
Are you getting
Oh,
some
yeah.
applicants?
It's
Great.
been very successful.
Good.
So yeah, so that's what I have for that. Our plan is this year just continue doing mileage reimbursement, advertising, putting more volunteers in these stations that are in need, and just recognizing these volunteers for the hard work they do, giving them gifts and uniforms and all of that, and mileage reimbursement, like I said. So, and That's our plan to keep that going. The more mileage and stuff we can give the volunteers, the better, so we'll keep seeking out more for them. And with that, I stand for any questions.
Well, I think you inspire the volunteerism. You're very gracious and always willing to give credit where credit's due, so that's an admirable trait.
Yes, sir, thank you. Yes, we try to thank every one of them as much as we can, because they do a lot of work for the community. So my last goal is just providing food every week to the local people. Like I said, again, it's not for seniors, it's for anybody in the community. We do lunches, low price, $2 breakfast, that incorporates an entire breakfast for people. We would like to provide more for them. You know, if we get a bigger area where we can provide more classes, then we could get our kitchen back where there's not classes in our dining room, so we'll be able to provide more food. So it all ties in together. If we had more area, then we could utilize that. So that's gonna be huge once we're able to do that. I'm seeking out funding to try to get more food in the center. So I'm looking for ways constantly to do that. Groceries, Lowe's gives us hams every once in a while to provide our Friday breakfast, so they help us out a lot, and we continue to try to get food from everywhere we can. So I'll continue.
You mentioned Hubbard as a donor in the past. I'm curious, are they kind of out of it now? Or are
They're not
they-
doing anything I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Mayor, Councilor Corey, I wondered that because I would get the information every year, like, hey, grant funding is available, here's the applications, and I
They
don't get.
split all that up. That's one of their,
Yeah.
That's why I have not received information, so, yeah.
So Anthony, on the food, I know it's Friday morning breakfast. Are you looking at going daily breakfast or when you mention more food, or is it more serving more people?
Mayor Pro Tem, it's actually when I want to do more, we try to seek out ways. We tried a different day of breakfast, and it wasn't very popular.
Right.
It's, for some reason, the Fridays is just big.
And that's what I was getting. I mean, you got a good thing going right there, and everybody works their schedule for the Friday morning one. And then Wednesday's your lunch, dinner. Are you looking at adding another lunch?
Yes, sir. That's what the plan is right now. It's like I said, like we have an art class that goes on in there.
Right.
You know, one day a week. We have our lunch on that other day, and then now tax season. Tax season is gonna take up Thursdays and Fridays. So we have a little short period to actually provide these deals. We're gonna try to incorporate more as we can in little areas that we can. But the addition to that building is gonna be huge, so we can
Right.
open up our dining room. We can say, okay, now we can just do food in here and we'll be okay with that.
That's the goal, to serve on more days.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
That is our final goal eventually, so once we get the bigger kitchen, more equipment, dining room, it'll all tie in together. That's my big time goal that I've been seeking out all these years, so.
I need to get there on a Wednesday.
okay.
I've been saying that for
We
a
need
decade now.
Pineapple upside down cake.
Thank you, Anthony.
Okay, thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony.
And keep us updated if you're having those people come in again. Don't hesitate to call the police.
Absolutely, thank you.
So I know we're supposed to have that deal starting at 5:30, but Diane's been sitting here patiently. What do y'all want to do?
Go in the morning.
Go in the morning? Okay, Diana,
Do you
thank you
mind?
for hanging around. Okay.
We have 3 sections left.
Yeah, we'll start
Thank
you
you
at 8
very
o'clock.
much.
Yeah, Anthony's been having some of these people come in and harass a little bit, but he takes some control of them, but,
You adjourn the meeting?
oh, I'm sorry. This meeting is adjourned.
Bada boom, bada bing, bada bang.